This is the proper way to do a Skeleton Fort raid and everything you need to know about them. Before we get started, I'm trying to reach 10,000 subscribers, and if you could help me get there, that would mean a lot to me, and thank you very much for watching. Skeleton forts are one of the fastest ways to level in Sea of Thieves, and learning how to do them quickly and effectively is one of the best things that you can do for your progress in Sea of Thieves. My last video was about what the best raid voyages are, and someone pointed out that while what I had done was true, that you had to know how to do them perfectly in order for those estimates to even make sense. So I'm going to go back through in the next week or two and teach you guys how to do every one of them as efficiently as possible. That way you can decide which ones are best for you. In order to start the Skeleton Fort raid voyage, first raise your emissary flag for the company that you're going to be raiding for. If you're going to go for the most gold, I suggest doing it for Order of Souls, and if you're just trying to level a trading company, then do it for whichever one you want to level. You need to be at least level 35 in the faction that you're doing the raid voyage for. If you're not level 35, you're going to have to take a step back and level your character up a little bit before you can do it, or have a friend that's higher level put down the quest for you. You're going to have to dive to it, so make sure that you have everything that you need, all the supplies that you need, anything that you might any cannonballs, make sure that your boat's all good, and make sure that everything's put where it's supposed to be and that you've sold any loot that you don't want to lose. Vote for the voyage and dive. As soon as you arrive at the Skeleton Fort, there's a few things that should happen. One, cannons are gonna start shooting at you as soon as you come up. So make sure that you have some planks in your inventory and try to dodge the incoming cannonballs, especially if you're solo, so that way they don't one-ball you and send you to the ferry. Next, you're gonna try and do two things when you park. You're going to one, try and park in a spot with your cannons pointed at the island, and if possible, also park in a place where you'll be able to harpoon your loot from the stronghold once you are done. And lastly, try and make sure that there are no ships nearby, and if there are ships nearby, then you need to determine whether they are a threat or not, and you will need to be doing this and keeping watch for ships for the entire raid, because this raid event can be seen from almost anywhere on the map. Once you are parked and you are on the Skeleton Fort, you will need to take note of a few things. One, there are a lot of gunpowder barrels hidden all around. I would highly recommend putting these all in one spot that's kind of far away from the battle, and you can use these later for killing the final boss. Before you do that, you may want to kill some of the skeletons, that way you don't get shot while carrying them and blow up your stack. But you just need to get the gunpowder barrels out of the way so one, they don't kill you, and two, you can use them later. After you've taken care of all of the kegs, start killing the skeletons. How you kill them is gonna be determined by what kind of skeleton is on the island, but I highly recommend that you use sword and sniper for your weapons. If the skeletons are normal skeletons, normally they'll have colored bandanas or nothing, but I think for these forts they'll almost always have these colored bandanas. All you're gonna have to do is try and line them up and then sword dash them straight through the line and kill as many of them as you can with one hit. Now all of these should be one hit to sword dash, and they should be very easy to kill. They also die to one sniper shot, so if there are only a few left, you have one that's constantly blocking your sword hits, you could also shoot them, but generally using a sword dash is going to be your fastest way to get rid of these. The next variant of skeleton that you may see at these skeleton forts are the plant skeletons. These skeletons are weak to swords and strong against bullets, so ideally you want to use a sword or maybe even a throwing knife. You can also do a lot of damage to these with fire or explosions like kegs, but if they touch water, they will begin to glow a little bit and they will do more damage and take less damage. So keep these ones away from water and don't splash them with any water. The third type of skeletons is the shadow skeletons. These skeletons are similar to the ones seen in the Fort of the Damned, and these are just about as easy to kill as regular skeletons during the day. However, at night, you must lift your lantern near them with it on before you will be able to damage them, and failure to do so will keep them invincible to all types of damage, so don't even bother. Make sure you light these ones up before you even try and do anything. Once again, I suggest getting them in a pack or a line and then just sword dashing them because they're pretty similar to the normal ones. Then we have metal skeletons. Metal skeletons are very slow but very strong. They become slower and weaker if you lure them into water or throw a bucket of water onto them. These ones also take pretty heavy damage from fire bombs, so if you still have some of those, that will work great, as well as kegs, again, blow them up pretty easily. Bullets also do a lot of damage to these, and swords really don't do much at all, so don't use a sword. Like I said, by far the quickest way to kill them though is if you have an extra gunpowder keg, but if you don't, throw a bucket of water on them and shoot them with a sniper rifle, and you should have one or two shot on them, and it should be pretty easy to clear them out, especially because they'll be extremely slow. And lastly, for the type of skeletons that you will have to worry about is the bomber skeletons. These skeletons are carrying gunpowder barrels, and I'm sure you've seen them in the Sea of Thieves before. And they can spawn in any of the waves and as any variant. They can spawn as regular, plant, shadow, or even metal. Sometimes if you get them, it may be a blessing as you could use to clear a wave, but you do have two options with these. Like I said, you could either blow them up by shooting the keg or throwing something like a fire or a blunder bomb at it. Your other option is to try and shoot their feet or their back before they light the keg. And this will allow you to drop the keg onto the ground, and you can add it to your arsenal for the final boss later. Or you can use it to kill other waves of skeletons. But you better decide quick, because take too long to decide which one of these you're going to do, and you can kiss the pirate's life goodbye. Skeleton forts consist of 12 waves, and they will be all different types of skeletons, all ranging from all the options that we've talked about. But on wave 11, 2 captains will spawn, as well as some regular skeletons. Kill the regular skeletons, and then if you're solo, focus all of your sword dashes and attacks on the captain with a blunderbuss or gun, trying to hit both captains with your dashes, but mainly focusing on the one with the gun as you can keep stun locking it and it won't be able to hit you. After you kill both captains, they will drop loot. So remember where you killed them, because you're going to need to come back and get that later. Next will be the final captain, or skeleton lord, the final boss. Now, it's going to spawn with a wave of skeletons, and you're going to first want to kill those. And if it spawns with keg skeletons around it, please be sure to blow them up right on top of it as close to the skeleton lord as you can. Then you're going to try and lure it to your pile of explosives, and once it's close enough, blow it to pieces. But if you miss or this isn't enough to kill the captain, you're going to go to something that you set up earlier. You're going to lure it back to the beach or edge of the island by your boat. And if you left your cannons facing the island, you should now be able to pelt it with cannonballs. It should stay there right on the shore looking at you. You may have to lure it back a few times or have someone else stand there, but you should be able to kill it pretty quickly with cannonballs. If you do have to stay on the island to fight it for some reason, then keep in mind that it will try and shoot you away from the island, and it will keep spawning more skeletons, so just be careful of that. Once you kill the boss, it will drop quite a few things, and those things consist of some loot, some skeleton orders, and a stronghold key. Set all of the loot somewhere where you can harpoon it onto your ship. This includes all 3 skulls dropped from the last wave boss or captains. The boss and captains will also drop maps for even more loot that you can dig up if you feel the need, but most of the time these are for doubloons and they are optional. Once you've cleared everything and got on your ship, find the nearest outpost and you're good to go sell. And like I said at the beginning, if you want absolute maximum profit for this, do this as an Order of Souls emissary, because then those extra 3 skulls that you get will be worth more, and they will give you the extra emissary value stacked on top of all the raid loot that you'd be getting. Also, just remember, like I said at the beginning, that people can see this event and they may attack you, so just be sure to keep your eye on the horizon. And normally for me, I just swim kegs out to their boat if I'm solo, and then by the time that their boat coasts into the island, I blow up another keg and they normally sink. But you may keep an extra keg or so handy, especially if you're doing it solo, and just try and keep an eye out and make sure that you can see people from far away, make sure that your boat's ready to go, and make sure that if they do want to roll up, that you can handle them. My last video was about the best raid voyages and which ones are best for gold, which ones are best for reputation, all that kind of stuff. So if you want more useful info on raid voyages, please be sure to go check that out. And more this week and next week will be coming out on all of the raid voyages, because on that last video, some people pointed out that my estimates included times of people who were doing raid voyages perfectly. So, while you can't control all of the variables, I just wanted to make tutorials so that way you guys can get kind of locked in, especially if you're new to the game, and you guys can make the most gold and reputation possible in Sea of Thieves. As I mentioned at the beginning, I'm currently trying to make it to 10,000 subscribers, and if you could help me get there, that would mean a lot to me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out.